Matt Bernier for RacingPicks.com, taking a look at the reselections for Saturday, September the 26th, 2020. One from Belmont Park, two from Santa Anita Park on opening weekend out at Santa Anita, the great race place. Belmont Park has been open for 2 weeks now, but these are important prep races leading into the Breeders' Cup World Championships, which are only a few weeks away at Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington, Kentucky. I don't know that many of the horses I'm talking about, if any of them, are going to ultimately wind up in the Breeders' Cup. But I do think there's talent here, and I think there's some opportunity. There aren't any giant prices this week, but I think these are horses who make plenty of sense in here, and you can use them either on top or underneath in exotics, however you see fit, or fade them entirely. It's your prerogative. Let's start off at Belmont Park. Race number 8, a one-turn mile on the Widener turf. It's the Grade 3 Noble Damsel, and if you've paid attention to New York racing, not just recently, but let's say over the past little while, there have been comical pace situations presented on turf. No one wants to go, and the horses who do go to the front are able to set unbelievably soft fractions, enabling them to have something left in the tank down the lane and making it very difficult for more talented horses who typically are closers and would appreciate some sort of pace to run at. It makes it very difficult for them to run down these pace setters. In this race, the Noble Damsel, I think the number 4 Blowout to me is strictly the horse to beat. I know her return effort for Chad Brown up at Saratoga might have been a little bit disappointing at face value. Rather soft fractions throughout, and she couldn't quite hang on at the end. But it was her first start in about 10 months. I think she's going to gain some fitness from that. And if John Velasquez doesn't have her on the lead or pushing the lead, something critical has gone wrong. Either she's missed the break or tactically something wild has happened, because there is no excuse for her not to be either on or pushing the lead throughout the entirety of this race. There was a race on Thursday, if you read the analysis over on racingpicks.com. Very similar sort of idea where the filly I liked, she ultimately won. Didn't pay anything great. I think she was 9-5 or 8-5 when it was all said and done. But the point was, these paces have become just ridiculously slow in New York. And there's no place I would rather be than out on the lead in a stakes race on turf in New York. And that's where Blowout, the number 4 for Chad Brown, should be. Johnny V with the mount, 3-1 on the morning line. I'll go with her. And you know what? I'll make her the play of the day simply because I think the two horses out in California, one's a little bit overmatched perhaps on paper. The other one I think is going to get absolutely pounded at the windows. But the number 4 Blowout for me in the 8th at Belmont Park, that's the Grade 3 Noble Damsel. Let's move on to Santa Anita. 2 races there. I know there are many Grade 1 races. You've got the American Pharoah. You've got the Awesome Again, which is going to be a prep for the Breeders' Cup Classic, the big showdown between Maximum Security and Improbable. I'm more intrigued with a non-winners of 2 other than and a turf race for fillies and mares. Let's start off with race number 6. It's that N2X going a mile on dirt. I've spoken about it in the past. Dirt races at Santa Anita going 2 turns. I don't care if it's a mile and a 16th, mile and a quarter. Being forwardly placed is absolutely vital. You have to be forward to have any legitimate chance unless it is a supersonic pace signed on. There's a horse in this race who maybe from a running style standpoint, speed isn't necessarily his game. But the number 4 Express Train for John Sheriffs and Mike Smith, the talent is abundant. He was a very highly thought of 2-year-old. He went off at odds of 5-2 in the Grade 1 American Pharoah last year as a 2-year-old. Laid up for quite some time, didn't come back to the races until the end of August at Del Mar, going 6.5 furlongs. He could not have been more impressive winning that race. Now, it's worth noting, both of his victories have come at Del Mar. All 3 of his good races have come at Del Mar. The only time he tried anywhere else was Santa Anita in that American Pharoah last year. But given that it preceded a lengthy layoff, I want to think that he's going to be capable of reproducing such visually impressive efforts down at the Great Race Place. He's 5-2 on the line. I think he's going to be a fraction of that when it's all said and done, maybe in that 7-5 range. I think this horse has unbelievable talent and potential. I'm so excited to see what we get from him, not just on Saturday, but going forward. If he can stay sound, he goes out for proper connections. I think Express Train could potentially be a major player in the older division, talking Breeders' Cup Classic type, next year as a 4-year-old. He's got the breeding in spades. He's got what seems to be the talent in spades. I think the number 4 Express Train is a very likely winner of this race out at Santa Anita on Saturday. Again, 5-2 on the line. I don't think you're going to sniff that. I think he goes off at a fraction of that. And the last race I'll talk about is race number 7, the Grade 1 Rodeo Drive. 1.25 miles on turf for older fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, I should say. So not just specifically older fillies and mares. They start going down the hill, something maybe you want to keep in mind, because I feel like that can potentially lend itself to horses who at face value, a mile and a quarter, may be pushing it a little bit from a distance standpoint. But starting going down the hill, this plays more like a mile and 3/16, a mile and an eighth type of race, as opposed to a mile and a quarter. Regardless, I don't think the distance is a problem for the horse that I like, and that's number 4. Mucho Unusual for Tim Yakteen. She's 5-1 on the line. Juan Hernandez has the mount. This is a horse who really has done little wrong in her career, and I think she has excuses for each of the past 3 races, if we're being honest. We'll go with the most recent run, the Solano Beach. It was a little state-bred race, restricted stakes race down at Del Mar. She made a bit of a premature move, in my opinion, because the 4th and 5th place finishers ultimately finished 1st and 2nd. If it was timed a little bit better, I think she probably wins that race. Whatever. It didn't happen. Not the end of the world. You go to the run 2 starts back in the Jenny Wiley. Not only was she dealing with Rushing Fall and Jolie Olympica and Juliet Foxtrot, but there was no pace signed on that day. It was going to be impossible for her to run down the big girls in that spot. And the run 3 starts back in the Gamely. I really loved Bodicita there. I loved Bodicita when she came back and won the yellow ribbon. She's also entered in this spot here, but she's likely to go off favored. Mucho Unusual was bottled up, loaded behind horses with nowhere to run, eventually found a little bit of a seam, finished really well. I thought she was unlucky not to threaten to win that race. First off the bench in that Gamely, going a mile and an eighth. I don't think this mile and a quarter is going to be a problem for her. She just needs a little bit of pace. That's the number 4, Mucho Unusual. She's 5-1 on the line in the 7th at Santa Anita on Saturday. That's the Grade 1 Rodeo Drive. We are getting closer and closer to the Breeders' Cup World Championships. You're going to want to make sure that you are subscribed to racingpicks.com. It's free. All you need to do, enter your email address. You get analysis for free throughout the week from myself, Andrew Champagne, Peter Thomas Fornatal, among others. Again, subscribe. It's all for free. racingpicks.com.